driver mode, which is what most people are used to as tour, sport, track, and weather. My mode and Z mode are actually just two additional modes. And we look at different use cases that people would want to optimize the vehicle for. Tour, we look at it as a balanced mode that's good at everything. Sport is a little bit more catered toward the spirited driving. Track is all about the response and how the vehicle handles around maximum cornering, maximum acceleration, and maximum driver feel of the road. Tour, sport, track, weather, they're all preset. What my mode and Z mode will allow you to do is for the driver to configure it themselves. So if they prefer different steering, different suspension, matched together or matched differently, then they can do that in my mode and Z mode. We allow it to key up in my mode so the driver can personalize their vehicles. And then they'll have it turned on every time they turn on the car. The design intent of Z mode is for a single use case. You could set up Z mode for that curvy road that you go on every day on the way to work. Click on Z mode, do your curvy road, and then go back to my mode, and that's your day.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Justin, and this is Horsepower Obsessed. Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about the C8 Corvette and how it's making those other supercar manufacturers look way overpriced. Now, of course, there's cars out there that perform better than the C8 Corvette, but there is a lot of car here for the less than $60,000 starting price. The value is where the C8 Corvette really starts to succeed. By now, I'm sure all of you know about the amazingly low starting price of the car, and it is one of the best features of this car. And it's going to bring us to our number one feature that puts this car out in front when it comes to supercars. The official pricing isn't in just yet, but we were told on reveal night that this car will start under $60,000, and that means worst case scenario, it's going to be around $59,999.99. Either way, that's still an amazing price for what you get with this particular car. When you stop and think about it, this new C8 is going to offer almost 500 horsepower out of a naturally aspirated engine, a dual clutch transmission, which is typically something you'll only find in supercars that start out at the hundreds of thousands of dollar range, and we're going to get this car for under $60K. It's definitely a mind-blowing feature right there. I mean, this thing is going to take down cars that cost 4 to 5 times as much. It's really mind-blowing whenever you think about it. Now, moving on to the second feature that makes the C8 Corvette better than those other guys is the cost of maintenance. I've talked about this before on the channel a couple times, and it is a big deal when it comes to maintaining your own car, or even if you pay somebody to maintain it. This is something that most Corvette owners haven't had to think about in the past because it's always been easy to maintain yourself with a front-engine car. With the C8 Corvette going mid-engine, it changes a lot of details when it comes to the maintenance. It's much more complex to maintain a mid-engine vehicle due to where a lot of the normal maintenance parts are located on the engine, and of course, the placement of the engine in the vehicle. There are a lot of manufacturers that don't even offer access to the engine hatch without dealership involvement as well, which really eliminates the option for do-it-yourself type maintenance. Well, with the C8, it's a different story. We have been shown recently that the underside of the car has a cutout for where the oil filter goes and an access panel for where the oil drain plugs are located, which is absolutely amazing. Even if you didn't want to do any kind of maintenance on your own car, the oil filter and drain plugs being this easily accessible would reduce the cost that you would have to pay someone else to do it for you as well. So it's really a win for everyone else involved. Go ahead and ask any random Lamborghini owner when the last time it is that they changed their own oil. I bet you they haven't done it. Or better yet, ask them when they didn't have to pay through the nose to have someone else do it for them. In a Lamborghini Huracan, the typical oil change price is somewhere around $1,500. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. The third feature is going to be the front end lift. I've said 100 times on my channel how badly a feature like this is needed on a car that sits as low as the Corvette does, and GM listened. We now have the option available for the C8 Corvette, and it's going to allow people to finally put one of these in their garage regardless of how steep the actual driveway is. While this feature isn't standard on the C8 Corvette, and it does have to be added as an option. It's likely to be a fraction of the cost of such an option on a comparable Ferrari or Lamborghini model. Like I said earlier, we don't know the official pricing until this Thursday, but you can rest assured it's not going to break the bank. There are plenty of supercars out there that don't even have this feature, yet they cost way more than the C8 Corvette's going to. So the fact that we're given this option in this car is amazing in its own right. The fourth and possibly the most important feature of this car is, of course, the dual clutch transmission. This is the reason that this car can hit 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, and like it or not, it is the future for performance cars. Now, what makes this special is that a dual clutch transmission is far from cheap. So the fact that we get it standard on this car for under $60,000 is a huge step in the right direction for GM. Again, there are very expensive supercars out there that don't even have a dual clutch transmission option. Something like the Lamborghini Aventador. It's a very fast car, but it does not come with a dual clutch transmission, and you'll pay through the nose for it regardless. The C8 Corvette is going to offer lightning fast shifts that will propel this car forward like no other Corvette. We are definitely living in amazing times right now. One of the biggest reasons the Nissan GT-R has performance like it does is because of the dual clutch transmission that they use in that car. Now, the GT-R brand new is well over $100,000, so that should kind of help put it into perspective. Before we get into the last reason, I want to discuss some honorable mentions here. The C8 Corvette has a lot of great features, and it's really hard to narrow it down to just a simple 5. So let's discuss some of the other features that make this car truly amazing. How about the 14-speaker Bose sound system, which is apparently the largest ever developed for a mid-engine car? The mode selector, which allows a few different points of adjustability ranging from ride stiffness all the way down to how the digital dash display will react in certain modes. And who can forget the seats? This car will have 3 different seat options available: the GT1, the GT2, and of course, the Competition Sport. All of these are going to range in support, stiffness, and the Competition Sport seat will even have the cutout in the bottom cushion for use with a racing harness. GM literally has thought about everything with this car. The amount of customization you can have on the interior is staggering as well. 6 different available interior options, all while allowing you to select the color of your stitching and seatbelt color. It really gives you a level of customization that most supercars don't even offer. Now, on to the 5th and final reason as to why this car is better than those other supercars, and that is trunk space. Yes, you heard me correctly, trunk space. I know this isn't something that most people think of when talking about a car being better than another one, but for the C8 Corvette, it's actually quite innovative and hugely functional. The typical mid-engine car has very limited cargo room. There's actually a lot of mid-engine supercars that don't even have a glove box, just to save the weight and space. It was a concern I heard mentioned more than once before the car was revealed, so I know it was a big deal to some people, and luckily, for those of you who wanted it, you got it. The trunk space is quite large. With its front frunk and the rear trunk cargo spaces, you can carry all the golf bags you want as long as that amount isn't any more than 2. It's definitely an interesting selling point for GM having this much cargo space in a mid-engine car, and I know it's going to make a lot of people happy. There are a lot of frustrated Lamborghini and Ferrari owners out there with their limited cargo space, but that's just one more thing that the C8 Corvette has on those guys. Like I said before, trunk space isn't a huge concern for me personally, but if I can have it on a car that costs under $60,000 with a dual clutch transmission and it can hit 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, why not? So like I said earlier, guys, the official pricing for the car is not out yet. Other than the fact that we know it's going to start under $60,000, none of the pricing has been confirmed by GM just yet. I do plan on having a live video around 5 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday, which is when the pricing is supposed to come out for this. So if you'd like to, I'll be live on Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern time if you want to talk about some of the pricing or any of the details of this C8 Corvette. Feel free to hit me up. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. If you liked what you saw, give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about the C8 Corvette or anything we've talked about on this channel, go ahead and ask it down in the comments below, or feel free to send me an email at horse.power.obsessed@gmail.com. I'm happy to hear from you, and I'd love to engage in some sort of conversation with you. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do. I have loads of C7 and C8 content coming, so you're definitely not going to want to miss it. And as always, guys, I'll catch you in the next upload.